I was reborn on the day my husband Matthew Roberts cheated on me, and the first thing I did was ask my colleague Parker Clark to switch shifts with me. In my previous life, Matthew had an affair with my best friend Sophie Baker in a car behind my back. They suddenly got into a car accident and were both rushed to the hospital. When I received the news and hurried to the hospital, I saw that due to the crash, Matthew and Sophie's bodies had become stuck together. Dr. Mitchell had operated on them, saving their lives. When I regained consciousness, Matthew served me with divorce papers, demanding I leave with nothing. He mocked my accusations of infidelity, pointing out my lack of evidence. The hospital's cameras had conveniently malfunctioned, and without proof, the court ruled against me. I walked away from the marriage penniless. As I left the courthouse, dazed and broken, a speeding car ended my life. But when I opened my eyes again, I was back at the hospital, moments before Matthew and Emily's arrival. Dr. Mitchell, a colleague who started at the hospital around the same time as me, was thrilled at my offer to take his night shift. "Dr. Laura Bennett, are you sure?" he asked, eyeing me curiously. "Night shifts can be grueling, especially if there's an emergency surgery." I smiled confidently. "I'm ready for it, Ryan. I've got the energy tonight." He packed his bag and left, grateful for the break. I dropped my smile, donned my surgical mask, and prepared for what was coming. In 20 minutes, Matthew and Emily would be wheeled into the emergency room, their bodies locked together from their reckless indiscretion. In my past life, I'd been too shocked to act, fainting at the sight. This time, I'd make sure they faced the consequences. Soon, the emergency room filled with chaos. Matthew's voice, sharp and panicked, echoed through the halls. "Emily, stay still. You're making it worse. Where are the doctors? Someone help us." Peeking through the door, I saw them on a stretcher, barely covered by a sheet, their position drawing whispers and judgmental glances from the staff. A nurse muttered, "What kind of mess is this? Showing up like that. No shame at all." Another doctor shook his head. "They're clearly hiding something. They keep yelling about no photos, probably scared of getting caught." Emily, her voice trembling, whispered to Matthew, "Keep it down. Laura works here. If she finds out, we're done for." Matthew scoffed. "Relax. Laura's not on duty tonight. She's too busy with her work to notice anything. If it weren't for her family's money, I'd have left her years ago. She's got nothing on you." His words stung, but I buried my anger. Dressed in full surgical gear, my face obscured by a mask and cap, I stepped forward. "Prep them for surgery immediately," I ordered. "We can't waste time, or their condition will worsen." The nurses, stifling their amusement, wheeled Matthew and Emily into the operating room. I'd already set up a medical camera, instructing the team to document every angle of the procedure. Matthew noticed the camera and snapped, "What's with the photos? This is a violation of our privacy. I'll have you sued." Keeping my voice steady, I replied, "Standard procedure. We document complex cases for consultation and to ensure the best surgical plan. If you refuse, we can stop now." I turned as if to leave, and Emily, desperate, called out, "No, wait. We agree, just hurry up. We can't let Laura find out." Matthew, still defiant, growled, "This is ridiculous. All my assets are in my name. Laura can't touch them." "But why does your voice sound familiar?" I froze. I'd altered my appearance with extra layers of scrubs and a muffled voice, but his suspicion unnerved me. Before I could respond, he smirked. "No, you're not Laura. She'd be hysterical by now, crying over some text message she found. She'd faint seeing us like this." Emily laughed, adding, "Remember when I left my scarf in your car? She called me in tears, clueless that you were with me." Their laughter turned to groans as Matthew's movements caused pain. A nurse nearby rolled her eyes and muttered, "Cheating and proud of it? Your wife deserves better." None of the staff knew I was Laura, the betrayed wife. Matthew, red-faced, snapped back, "You don't get it. Emily and I are in love. This only happens with someone you truly want. Laura, I haven't touched her in years." His words fueled my resolve. I'd been blind to his deceit in my past life, believing his lies about love and loyalty. Now, the truth was clear. He'd been after my family's wealth from the start. Taking a deep breath, I gripped the scalpel. "Lie still," I said calmly. "I've got the perfect plan to fix this." Matthew's eyes widened as I approached with the scalpel. "What are you doing with that?" "What's it for?" he shouted, panic creeping into his voice. His attempt to sit up only worsened Emily's condition, causing her to cry out, "Matthew, stop. It hurts." Matthew groaned in pain, clutching at the stretcher. "What's this surgery you're talking about? Is it going to hurt me? That scalpel looks too sharp. Don't touch me with it." I knew exactly what he feared. Keeping my tone clinical, I said, "Your situation is critical. If we don't separate you quickly, restricted blood flow could lead to severe complications, including life-threatening pressure in the brain." "What?" they both exclaimed, staring at me in disbelief. I shrugged casually. "It's basic medicine. To separate you safely, we may need to sacrifice a part of one of you." Matthew's face paled. "What do you mean by that?" he demanded, pointing at me. "I'm a man. If you touch me down there, I'll make you pay." I raised my hands calmly. "Talk to your true love about that." Emily's expression darkened. She turned to Matthew. "I'm a woman, Matthew. If they take something from me, what's left of my femininity?" Matthew, ever the manipulator, softened his tone. "Don't worry, Emily. Once this is over, I'll divorce Laura and marry you. I'll love you no matter what." Emily's face twisted with doubt, her hands clenching. "But, doctor, start the surgery now." Matthew barked, glaring at me with a mix of fear and defiance. "If you mess this up, I'll have your license revoked." Before I could respond, Emily grabbed an anesthesia syringe from the tray and jabbed it into Matthew. He yelped once before slumping, unconscious. I raised an eyebrow. Emily, a former nursing student, clearly knew her way around medical equipment. She turned to me, her voice trembling but firm. "He's out. I'm the only conscious patient now, so you listen to me. Prioritize my health. If something has to go, take it from him." I nodded, handing her a surgical consent form. "Sign this to confirm your decision. It protects us all." Emily scribbled her signature, without hesitation. I signaled the anesthesiologist to sedate her as well, and the surgery began. Hours later, the procedure was complete. With a final cut, I placed the removed tissue in a surgical tray, signaling the end of the operation. As Matthew's anesthesia wore off, he stirred, mumbling, "Everything's still there, right?" "I'm intact." I smirked beneath my mask. "Of course." Relieved, he muttered groggily, "Good. Emily loves that part of me." "Loves it?" I suppressed a laugh, knowing Emily had signed off on its removal. The nurses wheeled them to recovery, and soon Matthew was fully awake. Spotting a nurse, he demanded, "The surgery worked, right? I'm fine? Everything's intact." The nurse, assuming he was joking, scoffed. "You're alive, aren't you? That's proof enough." Matthew reached for his bandages, desperate to check. The nurse stopped him. "Don't touch. The stitches are fresh. You'll cause an infection." He grinned smugly. "I need to see it myself to be sure." The nurse froze, confused. "See what?" "Your girlfriend signed the form to have it removed." Matthew's face drained of color. "What?" Matthew's body went rigid, his voice trembling. "What do you mean, removed?" He grabbed the nurse's arm, his eyes wild. "What did you people cut off me?" Startled, the nurse pulled away. "What else could it be? You were stuck together. We had to separate you somehow." Matthew's face turned crimson with rage. "This is insane. You butchered me. I'm suing this hospital." The nurse, flustered, stammered, "But you signed the consent forms." "What's with this reaction?" Matthew's screams grew louder as he tore at his bandages, desperate to confirm the truth. Blood seeped through as he ripped away the gauze, revealing the stitched wound. His howl of anguish echoed through the room as he realized what he'd lost. "You monsters," he wailed, collapsing onto the floor, writhing in pain and fury. Just then, I entered the room. The nurse, shaken, said, "Dr. Bennett, he's out of control." "I'll handle it," I said calmly, stepping toward Matthew's bed. He looked up, still tearing at his wound, and froze when he saw me remove my mask. "Laura," he gasped. "You? You were the surgeon? Who else?" I replied, my voice steady. "I took the night shift yesterday and found my husband and my so-called friend in a compromising position. Despite my pain, I performed the surgery to save you both. You should be grateful." Matthew's shock turned to rage. "You did this on purpose," he roared, grabbing a nearby tray and hurling it at me. "You found out about Emily and me, so you took revenge. You mutilated me, you vicious woman. I want a divorce. I'll make you pay for this." I stood unfazed as he exhausted himself, his screams fading into gasps. When he finally quieted, I spoke. "You're mistaken, Matthew. I gave you both a choice during the surgery. Emily signed the consent form, insisting I remove your part. She said it was better for her future if you were the one to lose something. Matthew's eyes blazed with disbelief. No way. You're lying. Emily loves me. She'd never do that. His shock had stripped him of reason, and he muttered impossible repeatedly, shaking his head. I leaned in, my voice calm, but pointed. Remember how you passed out? Emily grabbed the syringe and sedated you herself. She wanted you silent, so she could sign the form and make the call. I glanced at his bandaged wound, sighing dramatically. Matthew, after this, I can't hold your betrayal against you. I just want you to be healthy. But I never imagined Emily would be so heartless. My feigned sorrow masked the satisfaction I felt. I couldn't wait to see these two turn on each other. Emily, that traitor, Matthew bellowed, ignoring his bleeding wound. He hauled himself into a wheelchair, blood staining his hospital gown, and charged toward Emily's room. Emily, freshly awake, was examining herself, relieved to find her body intact. When she saw us enter, her face paled. She rushed to Matthew, forcing a smile. You're awake. I was just about to check on you. We're so connected, aren't we? Her words were cut short by a sharp crack. Matthew slapped her, sending her sprawling to the floor. Emily clutched her cheek, tears streaming. Why would you hit me? Laura, you've been poisoning him against me. Matthew's voice shook with fury. Poisoning? Laura says you signed the form to have me mutilated. Is it true? Emily's eyes widened, and she shook her head frantically. No. Laura's lying. She wasn't even in the operating room. I begged the doctors to prioritize you, to save your masculinity. I love you, Matthew. How could I let them take that away? I stifled a laugh at her audacity. Stepping forward, I said, Emily, how do you know I wasn't there? If I wasn't, who performed your surgery? Her face froze as the realization hit. You were the surgeon, she stammered. No wonder you were snapping photos from the start. You planned this. You wanted to ruin Matthew. How could you do this to your own husband? Her attempt to shift the blame was almost impressive. I smirked. Funny. You didn't care about him being my husband when you were fooling around with him. Your little stunt in the car made you the hospital's laughingstock. How am I supposed to face my colleagues after that? Emily, caught off guard by my retort, pointed at me, stumbling over her words before turning to Matthew. See? She hates you. She didn't need to do this. It was revenge. How can you stay married to someone so cruel? Matthew's eyes narrowed. Laura, did you really do this on purpose? Just because of me and Emily, you destroyed me? That's low, even for you. His cluelessness was almost pitiful. I sighed, my voice icy. I told you, the surgery was complex, and a sacrifice was necessary. I gave you both a choice. Emily chose you, she signed the form. She even threatened to report me if I didn't follow her orders. As a doctor, I had to respect the patient's wishes. I produced the consent form, Emily's signature unmistakable. Her face drained of color. That's not mine, she cried. You forged it. I was under anesthesia with Matthew. I didn't sign anything. Matthew, swayed by her desperation, grabbed the form and tore it to shreds, glaring at me. I knew you wouldn't let this go. You were obsessed with me, always watching my every move. Now you've ruined me because of Emily. Emily smirked triumphantly, as if she'd won. I remained calm, pulling out my phone and opening a video. You can deny the signature, I said, but what about this? I turned up the volume and played the footage from the operating room. Emily's voice rang clear. Prioritize my health. If something has to go, take it from him. Emily's face went ashen. She lunged for my phone, screaming, That's fake. It's dubbed. I never said that. You're framing me to ruin us. Her panic only confirmed her guilt. I pocketed my phone and faced them. You two are so in love. Why would I interfere? Matthew, I've drafted divorce papers. Sign them, or I'll take this evidence to court, and the world will know what happened to you. Matthew's face twisted with rage. You wouldn't dare? But his threats faltered, and I turned to leave, done with their games. Back home, I began reclaiming the assets Matthew had manipulated me into transferring to his name over the years. My parents' inheritance, properties, investments had been siphoned off through his lies. This time, I'd take it all back. I hired a lawyer and prepared the necessary documents. Matthew, however, refused to sign. I'm the victim here, he sneered over the phone. You mutilated me in that surgery. You think I'll let you take everything? You'll be the one leaving with nothing, and you'll pay for my medical bills, or I'll sue. Emily chimed in, her voice dripping with venom. Dream on, Laura. That penthouse is worth millions now. The cars, the properties, all marital assets. We're entitled to a share? I laughed coldly. Those were bought with my family's money, not yours. You two cheaters don't get a cent. In my past life, I'd naively settled for half. This time, they'd get nothing. Emily's voice turned shrill. If you won't play fair, don't blame me for fighting dirty. The next day, as I arrived at the hospital, reporters swarmed the entrance, cornering Dean Michael Reynolds. Microphones and cameras surrounded him as one shouted, Dr. Laura Bennett caused a medical mishap, leaving a patient permanently injured. How will the hospital handle her? Another added, sources say she only got her job through inappropriate connections with hospital leadership. Her skills are subpar, and she's been unfaithful in her marriage. If you don't fire her, we'll escalate this. Dean Reynolds, blindsided, promised a thorough investigation. The footage hit the internet, twisted to paint him as evasive and me as incompetent. Rumors spread that I'd secured my position through an affair with the dean. Emily seized the moment, becoming an online sensation. In daily live streams, she played the victim, wearing revealing outfits and flirting with viewers, raking in donations. The hospital rallied behind me. A week after Emily's smear campaign, St. Mary's released a statement on its website, accompanied by the surgical footage. The video proved the procedure was necessary to save Matthew's life and showed Emily demanding her health be prioritized, identifying herself as his partner. The internet erupted. Public opinion flipped, with netizens turning on Matthew and Emily. Emily's disgusting, a homewrecker who chose herself over her lover. Matthew's worse. He cheated, got himself in this mess, and still wants to sue his wife. Laura's a hero. She stayed professional and saved his life despite his betrayal. Matthew's just a leech. I heard he runs a failing business. Within days, Matthew's identity was exposed online. His social media was flooded with mockery, and his small company collapsed under the scrutiny. Desperate, he confronted Emily. You said you'd keep my name out of it. Now everyone knows. How am I supposed to live? Emily, cozying up to a new wealthy benefactor, James Roberts, brushed him off. How was I supposed to know they'd dig up your info? Maybe Laura leaked it. Furious, Matthew demanded to move in with her, homeless after I'd evicted him and the court had seized his assets. Emily balked. You can't stay here. My boyfriend's coming over. Her slip revealed her new betrayal. Enraged, Matthew attacked her, but James intervened, using his influence to have Matthew arrested. Matthew languished in jail for weeks, friendless and broke. Finally, he called me, begging for bail. I placed the divorce papers in front of him. Sign, and I'll get you out. He signed without protest. A month later, we finalized the divorce in court. Outside the courthouse, Matthew, a shadow of himself, looked at me with regret. Laura, I messed up. If you give me another chance, I'll treat you right. I ignored his plea. Guess who bought your company? He blinked, confused. Who? Emily's new boyfriend, I said. She tipped him off. He got it cheap, turned it around, and made millions. He's divorcing his wife to marry her. She's set for life. Matthew's face contorted with rage. She used me. That night, he tracked Emily down, armed with a blade and a vial of acid. When she reluctantly met him, he attacked, scarring her face and leaving her paralyzed from the waist down. Bystander footage captured Matthew's manic laughter as he was arrested. Now you know how it feels, he shouted. He was sentenced to years in prison for assault. Emily, disfigured and immobile, faced a lifetime in a wheelchair. I moved on, free of their toxicity, ready to embrace a new chapter.